It's a new year, time to look back at our past year, celebrate our accomplishments, as well as learn from any of the setbacks that we may have had so that we can make this year a rousing success. Greetings everyone, welcome to the underground lair where we bring our creations to life. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. I'm a professional illustrator, designer, and mad creator because you know what? You have to be a little crazy to do this thing called art. You know what's also crazy? This past year it's been a little crazy. Maybe not as much as the previous year, but still a lot of ups and downs. I don't know about you people out there, but for me, yeah, there's highs and lows and all that. We're gonna get into that because what I like to do around this time of year is I like to put together a video sort of recapping my previous goals. So talking about my goals from 2021 and then looking forward at 2022. This year, however, I am going to do things a little differently. I'm going to break this up into two videos. The first video, the one you're watching now, is going to be a recap of 2021, and then next week I'll come back and we'll do sort of looking forward and setting some goals for 2022. I'll also be providing some goal setting tips that you can use in your own artistic journey to make 2022 awesome for you guys. So without any further delay, let's get in and we'll start recapping 2021. And just to keep things visually interesting, I'm going to throw up a random sketch that I did at a local comic book store signing. So let's dive into our 2021 recap. Okay, so first off, I want to explain the reason why I do these videos on YouTube, these recap videos. And it's all about accountability. And I would encourage you to do something like this as well if you really want to set goals, because putting something out there in a public space, whether it's YouTube or if you don't have a YouTube channel, Facebook, any kind of social media, anything that's out there in the public where people can hold you accountable. And also not only that, but it's a good way for you to use it sort of as like a ledger to look back at, because sometimes, you know, I'll create things on the computer, I'll file them away or whatever, and then I don't know where they are. But for me, it's always easy to go back. I'll just go back in my YouTube history about a year and I'll find the video and it's all right there. All the goals that I set, and I can look back at them. And also I use things like Trello that kind of keep like a task list that I can create, and I'll refer to that as well. So I really would encourage you, if you really are serious about setting goals, to, you know, take your art career or your art journey or hobby or whatever you're doing with your own artwork, to take that to the next level, or any areas of your life you can apply this. But I just stand by the fact that you should really put something out there in a public space. I've been doing it for years and it's always a benefit. So just something I want to throw out there, a little bit of advice for you guys. So looking back at 2021, did I hit my goals? Was it a good year? It had to be better than 2020, right? Well, yes, actually it was a really good year, but not for the reasons I was expecting. I mean, financially, I didn't move the needle a whole heck of a lot. I didn't complete nearly all of the projects or goals that I set out to do. However, I learned a lot, and I basically transformed my whole life for the better. So one of the big things for me, I took the opportunity and enrolled in a transformational leadership community. And basically what that is I guess you could maybe say it's like a workshop. It's like a weekend long event. This is all virtual online, and it was just as I described, it's like life-changing. It's transformational. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made, and what I'm taking away is going to set the course for all the future successes yet to come in my life. So I just want to say the best thing you can do for yourself is to invest in yourself, and whether that's transformational leadership, whether it's personal coaching, mentorship, online courses, workshops, therapy, spirituality, faith, whatever works for you, I highly recommend that you do that for yourself. Through my experience, I was able to let go of a lot of personal and emotional baggage and attachment that's been holding me back, and things that I didn't even realize were there, things that came up, and I was able to kind of move past, put that stuff behind me. And now, without that weighing on me, I'm free to step forward into my vision for the future. I feel like I've acquired this entirely new set of tools that I can now use to unlock my full potential. So, whatever that looks like for you, whatever you can do to accept and move on from those limiting beliefs that have sort of been ingrained in all of us from just an early age. I mean, the ages of like 0 to 8 are crucial. I mean, it forms so much of our beliefs and the things that affect us throughout our whole life. And, once you dive back into that and kind of learn, the things that are holding you back, I mean, it's just amazing what opens up to you. So I highly suggest that you find something that works for you and you do that for yourself. All right, so moving forward, I'm going to list the goals that I set in 2021, and we'll see how I did. I encourage you to do the same thing. Like I said, put this out in public on YouTube, social media, whatever, and that's going to be super helpful for you. So first off, the first thing that I set in my goals for 2021 that I went back when I reviewed the video, I talked about creating a sticker pack. And that is not complete yet. I can't believe, because I was talking about that early on, and it's something that's always in the back of my head to create this sticker pack. And basically, I want to create like those old, a throwback to those old wax pack stickers that you used to get, like the wacky packages, and I think Ratfink may have had something like that, or even Garbage Pail Kids, those type of theme things. So I didn't totally complete that, but I did finish all the designs for the stickers. But I haven't created a video or actually created the packaging or anything like that, and I really want to do that. And I've been having people contact me about a past wax packages video I did, and there's some excitement for that to come out. And I've just learned a lot of new techniques that I want to apply to that, so I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully soon. And what I want to do with that is I'd like to run like a quick starter, which is like a brief, like a 10-day or 15-day, like a partial kind of Kickstarter, just for smaller projects. So I'm thinking about that as well. The other thing that I got involved with, I don't know if I started last year, if it was the previous year, but KDP, which is a Kindle Direct Publishing, and that's when you publish books on Amazon. And my goal was to put this, and I'll say right off the bat, I did not meet this goal, but my goal, I was pretty ambitious. My goal was to publish 50 books a month, so adding up to like 60 books total for the year. I didn't hit anywhere near that, and that may sound like crazy. What, 50 books a month? You're crazy. It is kind of crazy, but the books we're talking about, most of them are what are called low content books. So there could be anything as simple as just a lined notebook, just basically lines on a page, and then with a cover with a clever saying or something like that. So a lot of those, and I did a fair amount of them. I didn't get anywhere near that, but that's okay, because this is where I want to talk about turning your failure into success. I noticed something with these lower content books, that the lower the content, the less they sold. So rather than just continuing down that path, I shifted to focusing on creating higher content books, not like novels or anything, but I noticed that some of the books, like when I was doing coloring books or my comic workshop, which are my comic workbooks, I've talked about them before on the channel. They've got like blank comic book pages. Those are a little more low content, but they're still, the way I do them, they're not so easily replicatable. Is that a word? I don't know. But like with my coloring books, those would sell a lot better than, even though they took me a lot longer, the end results were a lot better to spend a little more time on something like that rather than these low content books. Because even, the low content, the line journals and things that I created, I would put them up against about 85-90% of the books that are out there, and I would say they're better. But the problem is, books that already have sort of a foothold in that marketplace, even if they're not as good, if they've got people buying them and they've got reviews and sales, and the more sales a book gets, the more it gets, Amazon pushes it out. So it's really hard, even with a better book, to kind of, to get ahead of those rankings and stuff. And it's taken me a long time, especially with my comic workbooks. I've got one that's just basic blank panels. There's a lot of other books out there like that, and even though I would say mine is better than pretty much all the ones I've seen, and there's a lot out there, and I know it sounds kind of like I'm bragging, but I'm proud of this book because, most of the people putting out those books, they're not comic book creators. They're just, opportunist, entrepreneurs. So because it's a passion of mine, I just think mine are a lot better. And then I've got I branched off, not with just that one book, but I branched off into a whole series of those. So, even though I didn't produce as many of those books, I did, I kind of decided that wasn't the exact path, and I'm shifting more towards creating books that I enjoy doing, books that have a little more, a little more to them, that aren't something that, because the harder it is, not everyone can illustrate a coloring book and everything, but everyone can put together a line journal, so there's so much competition there, and I really don't want to deal with that competition. I'd rather create some cool books and put them out there, and I'm noticing those are really the ones that are selling for me. All right, so the next goal I set was with my digital products, and you've heard me talk about these all the time, the Comic Maker Toolkit, the Comic Book World Builder, these digital tools for making comics that I put out there. So my goal was to create 10 new digital products, and I kind of didn't get anywhere near that goal either. I created 2, and basically there were kind of 2 versions of the same one, and that's my comic lettering masterclass. But the thing is, I had set out that I was going to do some simple, digital products like brush packs and things like that. And there's a lot, or texture packs, there's a lot of that stuff out there as well. It's the same thing with the books, with the competition. It's a lot easier to put together a simple brush pack, and some people can do really well with a simple brush pack. And I do think that I need to move into some simple ones, but every time I come up with an idea for one of these digital products, I just go crazy, and I'm like, oh, this could have this in it. And I pack so much value into this stuff that they do take me a little more time. So I'm not kicking myself about not reaching that goal. They're not as simple as just brush packs or fonts. They've got fonts in them, they've got brushes in them, but there's so much more to them. But yeah, I'm really happy with the Comic Lettering Masterclass that I put out for both one version for Procreate and also another version for Adobe, both Photoshop and Illustrator. And yeah, it's just a great way to learn how to letter comics. And I got to learn a lot myself as I was researching that. A lot of things that I know and a lot of things that I picked up along the way. And yeah, so those things are available at Serkworks.com if you want to check those out, all my digital products. The other thing, the goal that I had was another Amazon endeavor that I did, and that was merch by Amazon. And I started out with the goal, so the way merch works, if you're not familiar, it's basically t-shirt designs that you put on Amazon. You can sell them, and there's sort of sometimes it's hard to get into. There's some people clamoring to get into it, so if you are one of those people and you haven't got in, you may be angry at me, because as you'll find out as I talk about this, I'm not doing much with that right now, even though I do have the account, but I will do something with it in the future. But anyway, so my goal, it starts off on this tier system where you get 10 slots, you can upload 10 t-shirts. If you sell 10 t-shirts, then you can move up to tier 25, I think, and then tier 100, and then tier 500, and then there's some people that are all tier 100,000, and those are the people that are making a lot of money. But so with me, I had a goal to get to tier 500, and a lot of people that helped me out get to some of those through tier, because it's really hard. The first ones are really hard to get to. Because the more products you have, the more they'll sell and everything. So yeah, I dove into that, and I actually did got into that tier 500, but once I got there, I decided that I wasn't crazy about creating these t-shirts, because what I realized, and at least in my experience, was it just wasn't lining up with my original goal of building passive income streams, doing what I love, and that's my art. I had a lot of really great, funny ideas for t-shirts, and they weren't just, and one thing you learn when you're doing this is even if you have a really cool design, if you put it out there, it's probably not going to sell, because it's just a cool design. It's got to have something to it. It has to be part of a niche or something that people can kind of glom onto or whatever. So I had a lot of these great little funny ideas, but they were trendy and they did fit into popular niches, so they would, theoretically they would sell. If somebody, that liked a certain dog breed or liked, whatever, is into a certain hobby or whatever, saw them, they would probably see the phrase and everything and be like, oh, that's funny, I'd love to get that. The problem is when people search for phrases, they're searching for things they've already heard of, like a term that goes around or whatever. And there's a lot of other people out there that are already doing that. So even though I was creating things that were funny and people could resonate with, it doesn't really matter if people don't see it or it doesn't come up in a search, as a search. And the reason why most people are successful on merch by Amazon is because they're taking the same old phrases and just redesigning them, or in some cases they're just ripping them off from other people and uploading them. But I'm a creative person and I want to create new things, not just rehash old ideas. So I kind of, like I said, I just wasn't really happy with the direction that merch was going. But I've got some new ideas, and we'll talk about this in the next video. I've got some ideas for like a brand or something kind of original that I can do, I think, with merch that if I market a little bit, then I think it could be successful. All right, so on to my next goal, which is my YouTube channel. So I've been on YouTube for a while, and I've made goals in the past, like, I want to reach this amount of views or this amount of subscribers, and those are good goals to set. Unfortunately, sometimes it's really hard. It's not as tangible. I mean, if I could look at, I could look at the trajectory of the amount of views I can get, and I can pretty much predict where I'm going to be, or at least that's been the way it was. If you never hit anything like viral or anything like that, it's it just kind of, for me, it just kind of moves along at this steady pace. So I've made those kind of goals before, and I'm like, those are kind of out of my control. I can't expect a video to go viral and me to get just a flood of viewers and subscribers and that. Although it does happen, I've seen it happen a lot with my friends and things like that. But what I can do is just do things that will hopefully improve my chances of that happening. And that would be just to produce, quality videos, better content, and do it on a consistent basis. And the idea is if I keep doing that, then that's going to boost views and subscriptions. So, I pretty much did all of those things. However, the channel continues to move at just this regular steady pace, which is good. I know kind of what to expect, but no viral videos or huge standouts or anything. But because I'm putting out quality videos consistently, the thing that did happen is they're catching the eye of people and companies and organizations that recognize me as an authority, as a comic creator, or as an entrepreneur in the creative space, and that's led to other opportunities. So remember, it's not always the number of people watching your content. It only takes one person if they're the right person. So anyway, I just want to continue to put out quality videos, and I want to up my game as far as the quality of my videos. Actually, right now I'm shooting on a new camera, which you're watching right now. You're just watching a screen cap using my iPhone, so you don't see that. But the intro and everything, I'm using a new camera. I've got a new mic, and I want to keep investing in this channel and looking to expand sort of the underground layer to create some other areas where we can do some other cool things and create some awesome content. So definitely looking forward to that. So one of the things that I mentioned in the previous video that I did last year of my goals was that I would like to hopefully do more networking. And I didn't know at the time what things were going to be like as far as the state of the world and everything. So that was sort of up in the air, but that is something I definitely want to do. And because of the state of the world, I didn't get to do a lot of that, but I did host a drink and draw locally, and some of this is locally, some of this is, online and everything, and that's definitely something that I want to do more of. I had a lot of fun with it. I did one, and then the goal was to do more. We kind of got busy and all that stuff, but I definitely want to do more like local community things. Like I've been doing a lot of stuff with my local comic book shop, and I want to do some more drink and draws and get-togethers and things like that locally. And then, on the grander scale through online and everything, I also joined this paid online community hosted by or run by Tom Ross, who's the CEO of Design Cuts, who I've talked a lot. They carry a lot of my digital products and things like that. But he created this fantastic community that's centered around building communities and cultivating our own communities. And he's really become an expert in that space. So I invested in that, I joined that community, and I really want to be more invested in that, take as far as my time, and really, take advantage of all the great resources out there. But we'll talk more about that in the next video, and I'll talk about my goals for building community and everything. Another 2021 goal was to grow my Patreon, which I managed to do, but it was mostly by offering mentorships, which is cool because that's something that I really hadn't done before. But I really want to look into what I can do more to offer my patrons, is it patrons? Yeah, patrons, just to add more value, because I've been releasing videos early and I've been putting out exclusive videos, but I notice it's only a small portion of my patrons that are watching them. So I need to think about other creative incentives for my patrons that they may be more interested in. So early in 2021, I set out to complete another 100 Days of Making Comics challenge. I've talked about that. That's where you spend 30 minutes a day, every day, working on your own comic book project, and then you share it in a public space like on YouTube or other social media. And I completed that challenge, and part of that challenge was to complete or to make more progress on my comic book series, Young and the Dead. So I've been continuing to work on the next issue, wrapping up the lettering, and so all the penciling, the inking, everything's done. I'm almost done with the lettering, the shading, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I just need to move on to my cover artwork after that, after I wrap up the last couple pages of lettering. And when I was doing the 100 Days of Making Comics challenge, I not only wrote the 5th issue, which is the one that's going to be coming out, but I wrote the script for the 6th issue, which is the conclusion of the entire story, so I know how everything works out. I'm really happy with it, and I can't wait once I finish issue 5 to get started on issue 6, and we'll talk more about that in the next, next week. But hopefully my goal is to somewhere kickstart issue number 5, along with all the previous issues, and add a lot of cool extras for anyone that is interested in that, and I'll be talking more about that. Right now, there's some stuff going on with paper shortages and shipping, and that I don't want to get into, but it may push that Kickstarter off a little bit, but I'm keeping my eye on that. So anyway, those were most of my 2021 goals. Of course, in addition to the goals we set out to accomplish, there are all these other opportunities that come up that we weren't really expecting. And there are a lot of interesting things that are happening right now that I will be continuing to focus on in 2022. I'm working on a creating comics for kids course. I'm building an NFT project. I've been doing a lot of work with my local comic book store. I started creating exclusive variant covers. I did one for an Image comic title. I did one for Archie Comics. And I've done a number of events at the store, and like store signings and doing sketches like the one you're watching right now. And I've really been enjoying it, getting out there and meeting with, the customers and the fans and things like that, and getting to kind of have them kind of come request sketches and things, because that's not something I normally do. When I'm not at a store signing, I don't do a lot of commissions and things, but it's a good opportunity for me to get a chance to do that now that, I haven't been back to doing conventions and things like that. So I do like going to these local comic stores and doing those type of events. So even though I didn't reach all of my goals, I felt 2021 was a success. And it wasn't because I gave up on any of my goals or I just couldn't attain them. In most cases, I just discovered smarter alternatives. So that's something you want to be thinking about. Something that you should always be looking out for if you want to turn what might be otherwise looked at as a failure into a success is the ability to be nimble and to pivot and shift, so you can save a lot of that wasted time that could be put to better use. Because what does it really mean to reach a goal if there's no real benefit other than just the doingness of completing it? So I feel really good about the past year, and I'm really optimistic about 2022. So there you go. There is a little look back at my 2021, some of the goals that I set, some of the goals that I reached, some of the goals, and some things that just kind of popped up and kind of maybe shifted away from some of the stuff that I planned to do, but it was all for the better, I think, and especially moving forward to 2022, which we're going to talk about next week. But I want to know about you guys. Did you meet some of your goals, or all of the goals, or any of the goals that you set for 2021? What are you guys thinking about 2022? Let me know in the comments section, and I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media, and now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.